Hi everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on the Striper YouTube channel. I'm Alina from Striper, and I'm excited to introduce you our expert guest, someone who's been shaping the email marketing landscape for over 2 decades, Kate Kuzmanov. Hi, Kate, and thank you so much for joining us. And let me tell some words about you. Kit is the email administrator at Inter7 Internet Technologies and one of the very first members of the DMA Email Experience Council. His career began before the dot-com bubble, working on email authentication projects, long before most marketers had even heard of SPF or DKIM. Kit has consulted for major names like Weathercom, built email server farms for ESPs, and authored original concept around understanding email deliverability. And this last part is my favorite. Is everything correct here about
Oh,
you?
yeah. You can keep going though. Okay. Yeah. I don't think my head's big enough. All right, Elena.
Okay, but it's everything true. So today we'll unpack the complexities of email deliverability from list management to sender reputation and get kids' insights on how to not only reach their inbox but stay there. And some words before we begin. If you have any questions, feel free to write them in the comments. After the discussion, we'll take some time to answer them. And here in the online chat, we are launching a vote to find out what your biggest challenge in email deliverability is. Please vote and let's see the results. And so now let's dive right in. And Kit, let's start with the building blocks of modern deliverability. Please tell us how email authentication, list hygiene, and content strategy work together to ensure better inbox placement.
Thanks, Elena. That was a great introduction. I don't deserve half of that. But email is more than just messages going back. It's a open standard that's supported throughout the world. um, it's very unique in that fashion where not one body, not one government, not one person, not one company owns this technology. And for good or bad, email is here for a very long time. I don't know how long this interview is because the question you ask can be talked upon for decades. The crazy thing, Elena, like if when as we are talking and I explain everything to you and to the audience, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow comes. And
Yeah.
when tomorrow comes, things change. So what I'm telling you today may not really be effective for tomorrow in that. I don't
Okay.
like to use the word best practices because email has what's called RFCs. And following RFCs is probably a good practice, but there is absolutely not a single mail server out in the world, in the wild, that follows every single RFC, how we are supposed to behave, right? These
Mhm.
RFCs tell us we're supposed to behave correctly in this global world of technology, but we get to pick which rules we want to follow. And just like you, Elena, when you purchase a domain at a registrar, you get to pick your own rules too, as well. What we found, though, is in the industry that authentication is. Let's see if I can give you a visual aid on that. You know what authentication is, Elena?
Yeah.
It's passport.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here in America, to fly from one state to another, one must possess an ID that's called the real ID. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how that is different from the old ID, but they're asking for what? More documentation.
Mm-hmm.
They're At the border, they're asking for more documents. When I fly from beautiful Wisconsin to wonderful Florida, you like how I'm describing those states? I must carry additional information in there. An email, the trifecta is SPF, Sender Policy Framework, DKIM, short for domain keys, and DMARC, which is a domain validation identity rule. The good news and the bad news is, Elena, there are no AA police. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're doing is trying to play in this sandbox equally, right? So you have two different point of views on emails. One email person is talking about the community of email. The community of email is protecting our brothers, sisters, neighbors, our cousins, my customers in the inbox.
Mm-hmm.
And the other email people, it seems to be online, are about ROI, right? Making money online.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say showing up with authentication without these three, with the minimum of these three is like showing up to the border with a hello, my name is Keith.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
It's good to be there. So list hygiene, we could go on and on about authentication. It's very interesting. There's a couple of organizations in the email community
Mm-hmm.
that go into depth, like the person who co-authored DKIM and his explanation of why he put that into place is very interesting. There's hit me up later. I can show you some really crazy YouTube videos that have these original authors from 2 decades ago talking about such things. List hygiene. You know, it's your bounces, it's your failures. I hate the word you use this phrase too. It's your spam traps that you hit. Probably more importantly, it's your non-engaged users that you're hitting up. What you're doing is you're telling the mailbox provider that you don't know who your customers are.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Picture this. We have this holiday in America called Halloween. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
In Halloween, the kids are instructed to dress in a costume, right?
Yeah.
And they're to go door to door and ring the doorbell or knock, but only on doors with what? With a light on.
Yeah.
If you're to come to a house with the lights off,
Mm-hmm.
you're not supposed to ring the doorbell. You're not supposed to knock. You're supposed to carry on and walk down the sidewalk. You're
Mm-hmm.
not supposed to approach the driveway, right? You're just
Mm-hmm.
supposed to go to the next house. Okay, so what happens? What happens to this gang of kids trick-or-treating? What it
Mm-hmm.
is in the neighborhood, right? The neighbors are
Mm-hmm.
watching this group of kids. The group of
Mm-hmm.
kids come to the house with the light on. They say trick or treat, candy comes in. All of a sudden, though, the next house they go to is abandoned. There is no house there. And they all walk up and they look
Mm-hmm.
around, and there's not even a door to knock or ring. The kids come back, they go to the next house, they come up, the light is not on, and they knock
Mm-hmm.
feverishly. Are you there?
Mm-hmm.
Are you there? Are you there? Elena, by the time that group of kids come to my house, okay, with my light on, all right, and they ring the doorbell, bing bong, I
Yeah.
open up the door, they say trick or treat, and
Mm-hmm.
I say, get off the porch, son. This is not trick or
Yeah.
treaters.
Yeah.
They are disguised
Yeah.
as
I got
something
it.
else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Really, it's very, very important for email as well.
Your neighbor neighbors know what's going on. I don't know about you,
Yeah, to
Elena,
take
but
permission and then to knock at the door.
be careful on the doors you knock, right?
Yeah, yeah. And what about content strategy? Do you notice some specific content patterns or elements that trigger spam filters?
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about are there spam words or are there not spam words? And
Yeah.
I'm here to tell you there are such thing as spam words, but I hate to throw the but in, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's words S with an S at the end. It is not a single word. It
Yeah.
is words. And it's designed from a mathematician and theorist in there called Bayesian. Robert Bayes, I think is his name, Bayesian filtering, which happens to deal with word pairing combinations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Get out of jail. May have a Bayes scoring that we have seen this phrase of words before, and the message is healthy or it's not so good, right? It gets a
Mm-hmm.
score. So the email body of content is important for a couple of reasons. Why? For
Mm-hmm.
accessibility. Not every person you email, Elena, can
Mm-hmm.
see.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
can't. You email people who are blind.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. When
Mm-hmm.
they open up their email, it should be what? Accessible to them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Same with dark mode. Same with some people have
Yeah.
degenerate eyesight, right? Some
Mm-hmm.
people don't even speak the same language. That's
Mm-hmm.
not their native tongue. And so when they see an email, the content coming in, and it's
Mm-hmm.
not intuitively understood what this message is saying, that can
Mm-hmm.
deter from
Yeah.
it too. Yeah. It's almost like if you're not paying attention,
Mm-hmm. And
right?
to me, all these will be signals for email clients that something is wrong in these emails. And maybe next time you go to spam. Yeah.
the the biggest misalignment that I see, the biggest, because
Mm-hmm.
people come up to me and they say, "Well, I have a list, and I do list hygiene, and I
Mm-hmm.
do authentication," and these people bought a stapler from me,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Why is my message going into the spam folder?
Yeah.
And I tell them, because you sell a staple to me does not necessarily mean that I like to buy marbles.
Mm-hmm.
So the original content that you sent me, I liked. I fell in love with the staple. Send
Mm-hmm.
me how to fill it. Send me paper to staple it. But
Mm-hmm.
when you send me, why don't you buy Elena? I saw you bought our stapler. Would you like to buy a marble? It has
Mm-hmm.
absolutely disconnect from the original person, that content, that product, that service that person came in, right? I think this is more critical than
Mm-hmm.
necessarily the what quote unquote bad HTML,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's exciting, and that's bring us to my next question, and it's about pitfalls. Let's talk a little bit about pitfalls in email deliverability, because even the most experienced marketers run into deliverability issues. Just like you said, they can say, "I do everything. I spent a lot of time to prepare this email to collect this email list, and I make double opt-in and everything this, and then boom, and straight to the spam folder." Yeah, and I was on this side, and I think it's frustrating and it's feel unfair. So what are some of the most common and maybe even surprising pitfalls you see in email deliverability that impact on email deliverability?
This may maybe I can relate a financial strategy on this too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have what's called a retirement account, and I put this money away for it to grow, right? And I look at it every day, and every day it's going up, and then sometimes it goes down, and then it goes
Mm-hmm.
up, and then sometimes it goes. By the end of the year, though, I am expecting a return on investment,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, I do this because why? I want to make more money. I want a retirement account, right? And I do this, Elena, because I trust what I put my money into, the person who is handling the money, the bank who is transferring this money, the marketplace who shuffles this money around, the competitors in this space. I trust this process. We
Mm-hmm.
don't have this luxury in email.
Mm-hmm.
We don't. Assuming my past was successful and then sending today is a prediction of what I will see today is not necessarily true. It's going to be morely like the daily stock market. It goes up and down and up and down and up and
Mm-hmm.
down. But at the end of the year,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully I will see that. And it's not up to me, Elena. You know who is in charge of the inbox? You are.
Mm-hmm.
You are in charge of the inbox that I send the email to you. I must earn your trust to
Yeah.
accept this coming in. Filters are super smart. Kind of dumb too. Uh, they can be. They can. The telemetry can look for signals like clicks and opens. I send an email, and
Mm-hmm.
then XYZ company will only let me inbox if 50% of my customers open it, right? Or 50% click on it, right? But,
Mm-hmm.
but I have, the reality is I have customers who just read my content.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the telemetry that they're scoring, my credit score, right? My
Mm-hmm.
value, my bank account really does not account for those people who read it in there. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a little bit of surprising realization in there. I tell you, one other thing that I find surprising about deliverability mistakes is because I see customer acquisition all the time. It looks like
Mm-hmm.
there's two ships. One company is customer acquisition, must need new
Mm-hmm.
customer, right? More
Mm-hmm.
customer. Other
Mm-hmm.
one is customer retention, customer retention,
Mm-hmm.
and I have these two strings pulling
Yeah.
back and forth. And if I don't do something that string is gonna wrap around my right my neck,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I have two options. I can tie one string into a knot and hold on for dear life,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or I can let go of both strings
Mm-hmm.
and trust the people I have in charge of my mailing operation, of the trust in that stock market that I've invested in, right? I know I'll have good days and I know I'll have bad days. The critical one is where I see the marrying of one day, one one customer doesn't like their delivery and they cut the cord off. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
like the umbilical cord, they just cut it off and they go into another one, right? And that
Mm-hmm.
one doesn't work out as well. And so they cut that one and they try another one, right? And then they try it
Mm-hmm.
out. The problem is that database because they usually don't do it every day. It may be 6 months, it may be every 3 years that they're trying on it. So the database that's been in there, this entity, and the database that's been over here, and the database has been over here, and the database has been over here. All
Mm-hmm.
that transfers back into almost like stepping back into step uh
Mm-hmm.
very first one, because I haven't hygiened my list, or I haven't done due diligence on complaints, or God forbid, unsubscribers, right? So there was a big discussion in the mail ops group. Okay, it's a group of there's a couple of groups out there. One there's another group called NANOG, right? North American Network Operations Group. Okay, this group plays friendly in the sandbox. Okay, I have a friend going out there in Denver, and one of the companies he worked with in networking ran over half the application that he ran half the internet on the world. Okay, his one program did for the company. He was, maybe you have heard of this company before. It's called Netflix. Okay?
Sure.
It takes over half the internet bandwidth at times, right? Must play fairly in this sandbox in there, right? So in here, people are saying, well, hey, I am Ukrainian orphanage. I am publishing SPF. I have owned this domain for 20 years. I have been hosting at Ukrainian hosting location for so long. We help so many kids out there, right? Who would put this email into the junk folder? Someone with a cold heart, right?
Yeah.
Guess what? Because of the computer algorithms, if you're not publishing those trifectas, Elena, you're still putting that name tag saying, I'm Ukrainian orphanage. Right? Trust me. No, must follow through there. Must follow through there. Alignment, please. Alignment. The handshake on the mail from, the from domain in there, the unsubscribe links, list unsubscribe, following RFC's authentication. The images are not hosted somewhere else. They're hosted on your own domain in there. The alignment is exactly where it should be in that place. That's where people disconnect. Elena, if I'm sending you an email, and I have, hey, Elena, I want you to look at CNN. I also want you to look at the Weather Channel. And I also want you to go buy something from Best Buy, right? I've just introduced 3 other bodies that the filter must trust too now, right? So it adds a layer of complexity. Look, the short answer is Postmaster Toolbox.
Okay.
This is a good one. Microsoft has one. I think it's called SNDS, and they also have one for a hosting company. If you're an IP provider or internet provider, your internet provider, they have a junk program in there. But
yeah,
I hope I answered that question.
Yeah, I just want to ask one more. As far as I understand you, one of the better ways to understand my deliverability is to make tests. If I'm email marketer, should I test it proactively and directly? And maybe you can tell what tools should I use as email marketer to test deliverability, if it's possible.
Yeah, Elena, I love this one. This one's super simple. And it doesn't require money or a third party, or it requires a little bit of work, right? So, Elena, the next time you want to build an email list or a marketing tool, or you're looking for an email partner, right? Sign up for their program, sign up for their free trial, align those trifectas in there. That's going to take you about 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Okay. Can you spare 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. Okay. Your first email you send from that system that you're going in, maybe you're going to have a Microsoft account. You've never used Microsoft account. I want you to use that Microsoft account to send to your Gmail account. And I want the
Mm-hmm.
message to be conversational, Elena. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to say, hello, Keith, how are you? Football practice is been rescheduled for tomorrow. The coach thinks we need 3 practices before the big game on Friday. Friday Night
Mm-hmm.
Lights, that's very big here in America. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. And, if you have any questions, please let me know. If that email goes into the junk folder,
Mm-hmm.
you have way bigger problems than your 3 authentication, your domain,
Mm-hmm.
your IP. There's absolutely, you are going to get crushed out
Mm-hmm.
there. There's absolutely
Okay.
no content you can put
Mm-hmm.
in the email that will get you into the
Mm-hmm.
illustrious inbox. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
must make
Okay.
that initial test.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you.
Okay.
That's a great idea, I think. And it's really interesting, and it shows us that deliverability doesn't live in a vacuum anymore. These and all things I read in internet about deliverability tell me about this, and it's heavily influenced by data privacy laws and user protection frameworks. How can marketers adapt to these changes? Can we speak a little about these GDPR and CCPA influences and so on deliverability?
Well, first, stop making compliance a check mark.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Everything Apple's MPP rolled out told us that it's not just about them protecting their customer, is that they don't trust us as
Mm-hmm.
emailers. They don't.
Mm-hmm.
So we must collect consent. Uh, Permission isn't just legal; it's emotional, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if somebody doesn't want to be on your list, you probably should get them off the list. Look, the GDPR, CCPA, Canada's got one, Oregon's got one, the state of California has one. The SEMA, have you heard of SEMA? It's called the Commercial Electronic Mail Act,
Mm-hmm.
right? And this one's in Washington. There was a court decision on this. Check this out, Elena. Okay, so this
Mm-hmm.
company started sending emails that said 24-hour or sale ends today. Sale ends today, right, Elena? And they
Mm-hmm.
sent this message on Monday. They
Mm-hmm.
sent the same message on Tuesday. They sent the same message on Wednesday. So, was the sale ending today? No, it was not, right? They,
Mm-hmm.
they've got in trouble for this, right?
Mm-hmm.
They thought they were clever, Elena, right? Like, I will put this when everything in your store is on sale, then you don't ever have a sale because it's all on sale. If
Mm-hmm.
everything in your store is 50% off, then it's not 50% off. So the truth in there about trying not to be deceiving to the customer is so critical. So critical. Now, MPP made open rates fuzzy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fuzzy, right? Don't throw them out in there.
Mm-hmm.
There are some engagement signals in there. I mean, you can take a battery of tests that's in there with. There's one clever way to get an acid test on how well you're doing is asking your people that you're emailing to reply with questions,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? Or actually try not to sell to them, but try to see how they could help, right? Put
Mm-hmm.
your customers first in there, and the AI filters will gladly let you in. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not one filter. it's one part of one filter, one part of one filter, one hybrid of another filter, another third party source in there, another piece in there. And this has minimal to do with the compliance sake, other than looking at the telemetry of engagement.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, I see. And yeah, that's a great perspective. And this brings me to our next part of the discussion. And I propose you to go something to past, because you've seen it all from the early days of open relays to today's strict standards. And you see how the concept of sender reputation evolved. And since we are discussing this, all this, our discussion is a part of email marketing months that Stripe celebrate in our channel. And so let's go back a little to the roots. Was there a time in email marketing then bulk senders just needed to write an email and hit send and get directly into the inbox without any additional requirements from email clients, without sender reputation and authentication standards? Was there a time or no? Can you tell us about previous period of sender reputation and why it became right to look like now?
Yeah, I can share a couple stories. If do I have permission to go a
Sure.
little bit off script a little bit here, right?
Sure.
If I'm looking at how email evolved, it's probably from the Russians.
Mm-hmm.
The Russians put a ball up in space, and it went bing, bing, bing. Okay. 1 month later, they put another thing in space, and that thing went woof, woof, woof. That was Sputnik 2. The sad part
Mm-hmm.
about that, they did not give that dog water or food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he died up there. So America in the leadership in there said, where are our physicists? And they said, well, oh, they are in Los Alamos building bombs. America is famous for building bombs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, made in the USA. This jacket, made in Vietnam. The bullet, made in America.
Mm-hmm.
So they had three entities that they took out of there. One is called NASA. NASA goes to outer space, right? Space Force now it's called. And the other one was called DARPA, and DARPA became DARPANET and the internet as we know today. The luxury we have of video conferencing is probably its roots came from this in there, and also the National Education and Defense Act. So the history of email precedes the email itself in there. And one of the first browsers that was generated was at the University of Illinois, where because of the National Education and Defense Act, a kid like me, I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
right, could go to the university and get taught by professors
Mm-hmm.
for free. Did you know this? So a bunch of these kids and the physicists that got spread out in here developed some of the technology and got excited about these things called computers. The world embraced it too and helped grow into that. And then we were like, well, how do we talk to each other in this manner? And there were a lot of programs very similar to email. The history of email is, I don't really want to give an award to anyone because really it was a collective group of a lot of different people. I do believe the first email possibly was, this is a test, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that move makes sense to me. I don't know if this is true or not. So as the email's growing out, crazy things were happening, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I would send you an email and you would tell me that user doesn't exist, send it over here. And it would send it upstairs. And this person would say, well, this person doesn't exist here, send it down here. And this person would say, well, this person doesn't exist here. And it would be like Pong.
Mm-hmm.
But the emails would be bouncing all over the place. And this is commonly referred to as backscatter. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I've sent you a message. You said, I got your message. I'm going to deliver it. And then you decide, wait a second, I don't have the right address for this person. I gotta throw this ball back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of RFCs that needed to. How do we handle these balls back and forth in there? And there's interesting stories. Let me tell you one about this ISP over in. Well, I'll try and protect the identities as much as I can of these clients. And some of them is the actual government, right? I've actually worked
Mm-hmm.
with the government on some of these projects. So there was we're putting a spam filter over to this country, this government, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we want to put the spam folder or the spam filter mechanism in the best time possible, which is Monday, and
Mm-hmm.
it's Monday at 6 o'clock in the morning, their local time. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That means I have everyone in the office from Monday through Friday, right? I have
Mm-hmm.
everyone during business hours on Monday to handle the situation if things
Mm-hmm.
break, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
this huge push, this spam
Mm-hmm.
filtering in there. Well, the customers who are on their keyboard stop seeing spam.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what they did? They panicked. They got on the phone and they called up, hey, I have logged into my computer and I don't see any emails. And the person on the other, well, yes, we know this because we are filtering the spam
Mm-hmm.
folders. Elena, the phone system started the call center support. Hundreds of thousands of people were trying to call this one number.
Mm-hmm.
Panic ensued.
Mm-hmm.
Panic, right? The customers were expecting, because this country power is unreliable.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever lived in a country where water and power is unreliable? When you hit the switch, power's off for a day or two, right? Well,
Yeah.
in this country, same thing. So when
Mm-hmm.
they don't see spam email, they think power must be out
Mm-hmm.
and complain. So we ripped the
Yeah,
spam
I see.
filter out.
So
And I
spam
think
folder was the first mechanism, reputation mechanism in email history.
the
Yeah.
spammers had trained the population to determine whether they had power or not. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they didn't have cell phones back then, but like we do today, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
and if we can, if now we talk a little about 2025, about now, how can marketers actively monitor and improve their domain reputation, IP reputation in 2025, not to uh, went to spam, not to go to spam?
I think the writing's on the wall with the alignment. Okay, if
Mm-hmm.
you're not aligning your brand and you're using Mailchimp's domain to Mailchimp
Mm-hmm.
email.app, and I don't mean to pick on Mailchimp by any means. Okay, I don't.
Any
I hope.
ESP.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But because it's easy for the consumer or the brand
Mm-hmm.
to just log in. I'll use MailChimp. That brand,
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to fly too much. It's not going to
Mm-hmm.
work very well. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So must be in alignment to that. And the other writing on the wall, I'm not a wizard.
Mm-hmm.
There is no Harry Potter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have crystal ball. I do have marble,
Mm-hmm.
but this is where I think that the SEO that
Mm-hmm.
Elena, I think you said, hey, I'd like to know what does that really explain, and the filters that I'm building today are looking at SEO metrics in there. So
Mm-hmm.
in the search world, Google is probably the biggest one. And in that search world, Google has indexed billions upon billions upon billions upon billions of pages in that function. And they can understand and decode trust, right?
Mm-hmm.
From simple things like backlinking and also content that comes into place, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
they have an unfair advantage of building a trust model for them. Remember that
Mm-hmm.
hybrid of filtering that's coming in?
Mm-hmm.
That other one is this. Now that I saw you trick or treating at my door, Elena,
Mm-hmm.
well, what car do you drive? And where do you live?
Mm-hmm.
And what kind of pizza do you like to eat, right? The people like Google, Yahoo, and Microsoft have an unfair advantage of looking at search history. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And on the search history, it gives them a mountain of unmeasurable, qualified, verifiable data points to give you trust in that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The one thing I will heed caution is the what is it? The YMYL, right? Your money, your life.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What does that mean to you and I? Your money, your life. What a funny saying. I have no idea, right? So your money, your life basically means if you're sending content, even with everything out there, okay,
Mm-hmm.
that Google can trust or Microsoft can trust or Yahoo or I can trust, right? On my
Mm-hmm.
spam filtering in there. If your topic of discussion happens to be money, health, safety, maybe I send an email that says vaccines work and save lives.
Mm-hmm.
And I send another email that says vaccines do not work and will
Mm-hmm.
give your child autism. Okay. Now,
Mm-hmm.
depending on how you believe what is right or wrong, right? The
Mm-hmm.
filter is going to push back on both of this because it's talking about personal health. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be under so much more scrutiny in there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Email itself, you're having billions of transactions every second. Every second of every day, things are coming in and out, right?
Mm-hmm.
As the filter, thinking of it as a what do they call that? Triangle, right? You got a triangle, right? The top
Mm-hmm.
layer, maybe IP domain in there. Then they got stuff in there. Hey, is the email have a virus, right? Does
Mm-hmm.
does the email have a malware payload in this thing, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's filtering down and then filtering down and then, and that last piece, right? That very last piece of that little tip of that it's like a very, 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 very small thing
Mm-hmm.
in there, will rely on EAT, your SEO score,
Mm-hmm.
and your money life in there.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the final verdict into whether you inbox or not. But wait, it's not up to the email provider. It's up to the person who is accepting the email.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to me. I get to decide. I get to decide whether
Mm-hmm.
vaccines will save my life or whether
Mm-hmm.
vaccines will give my kid autism.
Mm-hmm.
I will determine whether we landed on the moon, or I will determine whether what? That it
Mm-hmm.
was a Hollywood stunt. So, so I get to train my own email filter in there.
Mm-hmm.
But you will find when you send an email that says vaccines cause autism, you will get pushed way back. And when you
Mm-hmm.
send an email, what I've seen, okay, that
Mm-hmm.
says we didn't land on the moon, you will see a pushback, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Whether you believe it's true or not, I have seen it in my
Mm-hmm.
own eyes,
Yeah.
mostly with the political party.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're training our filters. And
Okay.
Elena, why do you or I need to know whether it's true or not? Why? Why do you need to know if we landed on the moon or not? Why is it important to you whether we put a man on the moon or not?
Because it's interesting for me.
No,
No? And
no.
why?
The reason we need to know facts that are true is to keep us alive.
Mm-hmm.
Who to believe and who to trust.
Mm-hmm.
Whether this drink that I'm drinking contains poison in me.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I need to know truth. Other than that, I, it can keep me alive, and it also can keep me safe
Mm-hmm.
from people, places, and things.
Okay, I see. Thank you. And I have, thank you for all these valuable recommendations. And maybe I have one more question, and it's about tactics. Because most marketers cover the the basics. They open all these articles about deliverability best practices and just point to do something. That's great. That's really great. But maybe you can say us about advanced or lesser known strategies that can make a difference in 2025. Something special.
Like trending or
Yes, something trending.
yeah, I've seen a bunch of. I think it's listen, Elena, are you a world class chef? Are you?
No,
Are you? Do you work in a 3-star Michelin restaurant?
no.
But thanks to a YouTube video
Hmm.
from a 3-star Michelin restaurant chef can
Hmm.
show you how they perform a dish, right?
Hmm.
The same question is, Elena, are you a Python programmer?
No.
No. So but with the thanks of AI today and
Yeah.
the language models that come into, you
Hmm.
can be
Yeah.
a Michelin 3-star chef. By the way, Elena, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. Or you can become a Python programmer. Okay, you
Okay.
pick.
I
My
have a
father,
choice. Yeah.
my father always told me when picking road, pick good one.
Hmm.
Pick one. Pick good one. It's just not avoiding the spam folder. Okay, it's that economy. Okay, content. Okay, back 2000, right? Data. I needed data, an email list to make email work, right?
Yeah.
Round 2 was content. I needed content, SEO on my website to make money online. 3 was data back in there, knowing my customer helped me come in there. But 4, which has been circling this entire thing called marketing, which is very difficult. Okay,
Hmm.
its cornerstone, the sand it rests on, right? The
Hmm.
gravel and sand, the little tiny bits, is built on trust. Okay,
Hmm.
at scale.
Hmm.
So respect the people who subscribe to you, and guess what
Hmm.
will magically happen?
Yeah.
Those people will respect you too as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Yeah.
Look,
I
nobody is
see.
doing it correctly today. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay to fail a little bit in here. Look, I have a luxury brand, a
Mm-hmm.
luxury clothing brand. You can look at my Twitter account, and I try
Mm-hmm.
not to poke too much fun at them, okay? But they're sending me 4 emails a day. You are a luxury, you are not Walmart clothing line. I cannot buy your clothing in Walmart,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
Wow.
I can't buy it at Target, right?
Mm-hmm.
I I can maybe I find one shirt at Amazon, maybe from other
Yeah,
reseller. You are luxury brand.
yeah, I see. It's just
Must
mistake about the
walk,
audience. Yeah,
must walk like luxury brand.
yeah, yeah. Okay, I see. Thank you, especially for these 5 points in the end of this discussion. And that is all my questions. And now we have 5 or 10 minutes for audience questions. Let's see if we have a lot of them. Let me see. And so we can talk about this question.
I see one.
Yeah. Hi, Kate. Please advise what a good email deliverability rate is.
Well, a good delivery rate would be 100%, wouldn't it?
Is it really?
I'm not
Is
joking.
it
I'm
real?
not joking.
Yeah.
I'm not. Could I live at 99%? For sure. Could I live at 95 or 93%? Possibly. But let's say I'm selling a product or medicine for
Mhm.
something, or I'm sending confirmation travel arrangements with ticketing information. What should my delivery rate be? 100%.
Mhm.
There's no excuse not getting 100%, right? There's something wrong with the data that's not coming in there. And if you're not getting very close to 100%, there may be other things going on. Okay.
Mhm.
Maybe that list isn't so important to send.
Mhm.
And I want you to look at that too. Okay. Because if your delivery rate is not 93 to 100%, and you don't care about your delivery rate, you probably shouldn't be sending that email anyway,
Mhm.
right? So put the perspective in here around, right?
Mhm.
Ask yourself 10 times. Ask your sister and mom, should I send this? God rest her soul, right? Right? If she would say no, no. If I look in this, look spam, no, 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 no. What delivery rate do I want? I want 100%. I want 100%.
Yeah.
Is it
I,
possible?
I
Absolutely.
I think it's interesting point to think about. So, do we have more questions? Yeah. Hello, allow the webinar. I have 2 questions, please. What's one common best practice in deliverability that you think is outdated or even harmful today, but marketers still keep doing?
Um, I don't know. Harmful sounds sounds like somebody lost their life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can I poke fun at one? Can just not be so serious with the
Oh,
harmful
yeah,
stuff?
yeah.
Okay. The the email that I get in, right? And I see in the corner that says view this on a web page, that's
Mm-hmm.
pretty much outdated. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Every mail client that can read mail will be able to read that email. I don't need that
Mm-hmm.
view this message on your
Mm-hmm.
website. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
clearly tells me you don't, you haven't, you haven't, you're still on MySpace. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Another good one is the 10 days to get you off my unsubscribe list. So I unsubscribe from your list, Elena, and you say, okay, congratulations, thumbs up. We're glad you left, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then it says, please allow 10 days to remove you from our list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I call BS on that. That's just not practical. You can do it instantly.
Mm-hmm.
DNS used to be from name servers and root servers in there. They used to tell you when you bought a domain and you changed a DNS record, please wait
Mm-hmm.
72 hours for it to
Mm-hmm.
fix. Guess what it is today, Elena?
Mm-hmm.
It's like 30 seconds. So when you're telling your audience that we're going
Mm-hmm.
to wait 10 days to take you off our list, you're pretty much telling me you're living in the, I don't know, the Sesame Street. Do they even play Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers era?
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps you're still watching MTV and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
teenage. Remember
I
MTV?
got it. Okay. Very interesting. So, and the second one from Anya, with mailbox providers becoming more strict, how do you see the future of cold email outreach evolving? Is it dying or just changing shape? It's about cold emails,
Cold
email
email, huh?
outreach.
Well, if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's probably a duck. Cold email is what? Cold. I,
Mhm,
I don't really like to talk the subject about this, but I will let you know. I got an email, Elena, a cold email. Oh, it's
mhm,
referred to as a cold email, right? It was a
mhm,
business. It's a business sending an email to my old business.
mhm,
Almost 2 decades ago, this
yeah,
company I worked for this company
mhm,
for a very short
mhm,
time. But
mhm,
almost 20 years ago, I see an email saying, hey, Keith, I remember you working at this company.
mhm,
How is your company going?
mhm,
And so, how would that make you feel for that? This isn't like Facebook. Facebook
mhm,
says, "Hey, this is what you posted 7 years ago," and it's kind of,
mhm,
oh,
yeah,
I feel nostalgic because what? Because
yeah,
I posted it, right?
mhm,
Right. When you tell me where I used to work 20 years ago,
mhm,
not so good. Never works out well. Never works out for the person sending cold email.
mhm,
Never really works out for the person receiving cold email.
mhm,
And the email providers never really works out for them either. But
mhm,
there are ways. I think you want to use a cold approach to
mhm,
prospecting in there. And there's the right way and a wrong way to do this. And one I will explain to you is called list building. And if you
mhm,
hit me up, there's a gentleman on LinkedIn who I talked about with this, right? I inspired him
mhm,
so much. Elena,
mhm,
I inspired him so much. He has a series, 47, 50, 60 articles about
mhm,
email list building.
mhm,
Oh my gosh, right? Cold emailing is passe, right?
mhm,
What is chic, right?
mhm,
Is list
mhm.
building.
Yeah, okay. I see. So, do we have more questions? Yeah, one more. Is it worth investing in BME implementation now, or should marketers wait until it becomes more widely adopted?
Well, BIMI is adopted with Google, and Google owns 80%, 70% of all Gmail addresses. So,
Mm-hmm,
email addresses people have or required to have a Google because of
mm-hmm,
either here in America, may not be big in Europe, quite as big, right? In America, 70% of the Americans own iPhones. In Europe, it's reversed. They're all on Android devices. So, depending on which region I would in there,
mm-hmm.
I would say BIMI has been rolled out.
Yeah.
Okay, it's it's not going to get more widely adopted in that space.
Mm-hmm,
The problem I have with BIMI, well, not the problem. The question I ask is, there are two sources that are publishing this BIMI record in there, and
mm-hmm,
and it's almost as if you are asking me to do what? to pay to play,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And I
As
think
a,
this question's just about this.
it is very dangerous for all concerned when the economy is pay to play.
Yeah.
Must
Then
be
it became a
very,
question of money. Yeah.
very careful when you're paying for your own image. I don't know. There are other questions I think you should be asking. If it is that you want a sign over your door for that reason, you're renting a building and you want Keith's
Yeah.
Coffee
Yeah.
Shop
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
there, maybe okay, because you must buy sign unless you can make. But
Yeah. On
you
the
can
other
make
way, yeah,
you
you're
can make sign too,
right.
right?
Two
And not
sides.
pay for it.
And you just need to make decision
I
by
don't know.
yourself. Okay, thank you. And one more question.
Just one
In
more.
case, in cases where bad actors flood your registration from with real but non-consenting consenting emails, how do you recommend it prevented that kind of abuse, especially when it's done to simulate valid signups and trigger transaction sense?
Yeah, that in case the bad actors register
So,
non-consensual emails, right? You should have mechanics in the back end that don't need to be aggressive, but can be assertive into requiring either it's called a time delay. So if I look at yesterday and let's say I had 100,000 people sign up for my email list yesterday, right? And my average for the last year is anywhere between 80 to 120,000 new signups coming in. And today I have 1 million signups that come in. This could be a red flag, okay? Without knowing it. So it's funny because when I send email, well, Yahoo sends email to me, and they're sending too fast. Remember that funnel I was telling. That's my
yeah.
top funnel. You know what it says? Stop. My mail service says stop mailing too fast. Go away. Right. Now,
Okay.
I know on customer acquisition in there and customer retention in there, can I even allow that competing in there? And there's companies beyond that offer this service. I'm a big fan of spot checking 1% of your traffic in this way, right? Either doing a tokenizing of the traffic. I don't want to violate MPP. I mean, PPI, personal identification in there. I don't want to scrape your JavaScript canvas display module to find out how unique you really are in there. I don't want to be intrusive while I do this. So there's a delicate balance in this space, but you can put up some very highly effective deterrents to prevent something like this from happening. But hey, look, Ricardo, I'm an email operator. Okay. I get it. When you tell me this happened to you, it happens to a bunch of people. The problem is when you tell me this happened to you and I forgive you in there, but you never fix the problem and it happens again tomorrow, I am less forgiving. Okay. You know how many times I give you, Ricardo? Not going to say the number so nobody can do that screen. They got to watch it, right? This is how many times I give you. Okay? Fool me once. Fool me twice. Fool me 3 times. And I'm going to take away your wild card.
Okay. Thank you. And one more question. Hi, Kate. Do you have a book or masterclass series I can read, watch, or a podcast?
It's very generous of you, Aman. I don't have such a thing. I have I have large clienteles. I get very private information shared to
Mm-hmm.
them. But thank you, Evan. I really appreciate
Mm-hmm.
that. Hey,
I can say that I read your LinkedIn and it's very interesting. And maybe Aman can go and on LinkedIn and read your posts there.
yeah,
They're also
sure.
great and very valuable.
Yeah, they're kind of goofy. I
Yeah.
try not to pick on too many people in the industry, Alina. That's look, it wasn't 24 hours ago where when I was understanding what email was, okay, because
Mm-hmm.
the technology wasn't even back then, and then what you email marketers are different. I had no idea what CPM, CPA, CPL, CPC, CPC. I was like, what's that mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like the M being Roman numeral for 1,000, right? And when I learned this, okay,
Yeah.
I, university didn't teach me this. It was one of you, you who taught this to me, and I was drinking my coffee and I spit out because I was like, of course it means 1,000. I've taken differential equation and calculus 3, and I'm an engineer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Really. So, uh, thank you for your answers. And I think already all questions are end. And so, Kit, thank you so much for sharing your ideas, your insights, your allegories. The best part for me. And it's clear for me now that deliverability is both an art and a science. And your deep understanding of its evolution is really opened my eyes today. So, guys, if you find, as me, if you find this discussion helpful, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the Striper YouTube channel, and share this webinar with your team. And thank you again, everyone.
Thank you, Elena. Thank you, Stripo.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you putting this thing together. I must be number. Am I number one? No, no, I'm like number 10 or 11 or something like that. Can Elena? Can I be number one? Because
Yeah,
I don't think much of myself, but I'm the only one I can think of.
yeah. Oh,
Bye.
so
Thank you
bye.
so
See
much.
you on
Ciao,
the next
ciao.
session.
Thank
Bye.
you, audience.